16th of June. And forgive me if I get distracted, but there's a massive shoal of chub, big chub, just under the bushes downstream here. And there's bound to be some barbel in that streamy water behind me by the gravel. But as part of the series on salmon fly fishing gear, I thought I'd better introduce you to the rods that I use. I've used several different makes and brands over the years, and I'll mention a few of those and why I don't use them anymore, and why I use the two different setups that I've got. This may be quite a lengthy video, simply because it is a glorious day and I refuse to be rushed. You can skip forward any time you like. Right, anyway, so salmon fly rods. I've learned over many years that the problem with salmon fly rods is they're designed to cast the line, not necessarily to play and land fish. That is almost secondary. But then you can see the reasoning behind that, because if you don't get the fly in the right place at the right, working the right way, then you're not going to catch much. So you could see the sense behind making sure that the rod will cast the fly line to where you want it to be. But you still have to land the fish, play it and land it when you've hooked it. So anyway, again, with all gear, you get what you pay for. But there's nothing wrong with the cheaper, or should we say, the less expensive models, the Shakespeares and Greys to a certain extent. I've used both. They've both caught me salmon, but if you're going to be using them for any length of time during the day, they can be a bit stiff. They can be they just feel a bit weird. The action isn't a true through action sometimes, and it's harder to get the line balanced to the rod, if that makes sense. Anyway, so after many years of faffing around, I did treat myself, because I had a bit of cash, to the Hardy Zephyrus. I went for the 15-foot because I'm an idiot. Bigger is better. No, it isn't. No, 14-foot, 14.5-foot fly rod is plenty big enough for any river in the UK. Okay, if you go into some of these massive Canadian, Russian or Norwegian, then you probably won't be watching this video, because if you're going to be spending that amount of time and effort and money, you want to get some proper lessons on how to do it and get some proper introduction to kit. But this is for the occasional angler, or somebody, mainly for youngsters who are coming into it and fancy the idea of having a go, and also for people who are trout fly fishermen who want to up their game, maybe just for the holidays, go to Scotland or come in here to Herefordshire, or if you're lucky, on Hampshire, places like that. So yes, I've got the 15-foot double-handed rod, which is ideal for this sort of river. Well, it's too big to say. Anyway, it's a good rod, and it will get the fly where you want it on a larger river. That's pretty much all you could say about it. But it's really only suitable in the spring, when you've got a lot of water, big flow, and you want to get big flies down into deep water. You need heavy gear. It's a bit like boat fishing at sea. You know, you need the gear to fit the river conditions. Now, these river conditions, if you're not going to be fly fishing when it's in flood, say, maybe a metre higher than it is now, so my head height or more, if you're going to be fishing it in summer or autumn, you'd be better off and use what I use at this time of year, and that is a switch rod. Now, a switch rod is a halfway house between a single-handed fly rod and a double-handed fly rod. Double-handed fly rod you use with both hands all of the time, unless you're a gorilla, and then you could cast it one-handed, but what's the point of it? The switch rod. And the good thing about switch rods is that the manufacturers know what you're fishing for, and they make a suitable reel to go with it. So you can get a complete matched outfit for the same cost as just the Hardy rod, which was £1,000. Now this whole outfit is less than £1,000. In fact, it's probably only about 500 quid, which is far better. You can also use this for your reservoir rainbows. You might get a few weird looks from the purists, but you'll certainly land a flabby rainbow of £8 to £10 on this. Switch rod. It's 8 rated, whereas this beast down here is 11 rated, which means it takes this takes lighter line. I use and you get switch line. Line which is specifically designed for switch rod fishing. So it's an all-in-one package, and for those who are just having a go, normally on holiday or in summer, or just picking it up from, sorry, I've just been distracted by a chub swimming. I told you that. Yeah, if you're not going into it big time, then go for a switch rod. Get the switch reel. You can use this on lakes for reservoirs, like I said. You can use it for sea trout. You can use it for bass. You can use it for mackerel. You could use it for any of the tuna, small tuna that is. And it will land fish up to, well, you'll have fun with anything over £16, but it will do it. It will do it. I've had suin, or sea trout, to £6.5, and I've had salmon to £8 on here. Well, I'd say £8, it's guessing at £8, it certainly wasn't 12. Right, I'm going to show you a bit of footage of me fishing with both, and you'll see how it works. This one, you can use one-handed, like an ordinary fly rod, or you've got this, where if you need to just punch that line out a bit further, you can use the bottom part. And the casting, I do the same. But you'll see that in a minute. And that's about it, really. A lot of the bigger salmon rods, they're specifically designed for the type of line you're going to cast. Now, I've used these American Vision catapults, they were called, but they're designed for those sort of loaded tip lines, like your Skagits and your Scandi casting systems. Don't get a rod that is designed to use those lines and then put an ordinary spey line on, because you won't get anywhere at all. The Hardy range tend to be able to handle both, which is good. But then again, a switch outfit, forget all that. Switch rod, switch reel, all matched, same manufacturer, Clearwater, or this Clearwater rod. It is the Clearwater. Oh, I've got the glasses in, I can actually tell you what it is. I said this was going to be a long video. This is Orvis Clearwater, 12 foot, weight 6 3/4 ounces, or 8 weight line. Okay? 8 rate. So it's an 8 rate switch line. 8 weight switch rod, and a Clearwater large arbor, and we went through that with reels, or perfect match for this rod. All Orvis, okay, under 500 quid. Pretty sure it was. You can buy other manufacturers, and they cost more, but they won't catch you any more fish. That's down to you. Right, so let's get these in the water, get the flies wet, and you can see what I'm talking about. You never know, we might actually catch something. That'll be funny. Yeah, which reminds me, I suppose I ought to go and get a landing net. Right, for those of you who have seen any of my fly fishing videos before, you're fully aware of my level of casting. But for the purposes of the demonstration of the rods, we're going to do some more rubbish casting. Right, double-handed rod, and just getting some line out before we actually start fishing. Double-handed rod, as it says on the tin, as they like to quote. Use both hands. I'm doing, I think, what they call a double spay here, which means bringing it up on the left hand side, swing it round, and flick with the bottom hand, and out she goes. Now you see the distance we're casting. It's not huge, but it's covering the piece of water that I'm after. Now, I know from the experience of wading down here before that when I'm pointing with the rod now, I don't know if you can see, there's just a break on the surface of the river there, and that's where there's a big rock. The line's just coming round over it now. Probably going to get caught on it, but still. Right, there's a big rock just there, and there's a big hole behind it. Now, the river here is flowing at a nice even pace, considering it's summertime. So, from here, we want to be able to cast down there. Right. So using a double-handed salmon rod, that shouldn't be a problem from where I'm stood now. See? Plop. And we're just going to move down a little bit. And with a bit of luck, we will start to appear on the shore base camera. That's probably because there is absolutely no wind blowing whatsoever today. I'm able to get that cast out like that. But you see, it's fairly effortless with this rod because it's got this wonderful through action. It's a lovely continuous curve in the rod, and the tip has got quite a bit of bounce in it, a bit of spring, which just gets that line to go out nicely. Okay, the switch rod. Yes, it's splashy, I know that was splashy. Now then, you trout anglers, you're going to like the switch rod because it's a bit heavy for single-handed, but you can fish it for several hours without your arm dropping off. You get a decent cast with it. And it's pretty good at more accurate fishing. The double-handed, maybe. You can fish it exactly the same as a single hand, as a ordinary trout rod. You know, various different casting styles. It's ideal for sea trout at night. It's 12 foot, it's light, and if they allowed night fishing on the Y, then this would be a perfect spot for night fishing for sea trout. Right, so at the moment I'm fishing this rod single-handed. Badly. Ooh, that's chub tank. But if you want to get that little bit of extra, oh, hey, something just moved it, trout. If you want to get that little extra zip, you can, if you get the right weight of line in front of you, use it double-handed like that. So there we are. I mean, this rod it's so light, so comfortable and easy to use. You can even fish it just like a salmon rod. Like that, see? You can get just as far fishing it single-handed, but with double-handed you tend to get a slightly better line lay. I mean, that is not bad. We'll switch to this camera. You see, that is quite a good. And you can get as far, well, just about as far as the double-handed rod, casting-wise. Not quite, maybe. But then in these conditions, because you're able to wade the river more safely, because you can actually see the bottom, so you can see anything you're likely to trip over. Let's anchor this one down. There you can see through the water there. Quite clear. Oh, nice trout just in front of me. Not like a mine rod though. Anyway, yeah, so the wading is easier at this time of year, so you don't need a wading staff or anything, and you can wade further, so you can access more of the river, so you don't, you don't have to cast so far, because at the moment I could probably wade, apart from that big hole in front of me, I could probably wade from here, oh, way off down, a couple of 100 metres. You don't want to go much further than that, because you want a cup of tea by then, surely you can. Yeah. Right, we're approaching the big hole now. You don't really want to get too much closer because you'll spook anything that's in there. I'm not actually fishing, I'm just casting. There we are. So that's it. Double-handed rod, switch rod. If you're an occasional salmon fly fisherman, go for the switch rod, because you could do so much more with it than you can with a big old double-handed. And you get the whole package for the same price as just the rod. That's my recommendation, boys and girls. Take it or leave it. And with that, I'm now actually going to go and fish an area where I'm far more likely to pick up a fish, but is not so good for filming it. Hope that's helped. Wow, yeah, this is a long video, isn't it? Maybe I should have edited some out. Why? If you're watching this, you're probably stuck at work, night shift, something like that. You've nothing better to do. Right. Until next time. See you later, Orvis, Clearwater. Don't forget, Fly Salmon Association.